Welcome to the channel. Today we're reviewing the brand new Rivers of Nihil album, The Work. Now, in case you don't know, Rivers of Nihil are a technical death metal band, incorporate elements of progressive metal throughout most of their sound. They produced a fantastic critical acclaimed album back in 2017, I think, called The Owls Know My Name. And this album was fantastic, incorporating saxophone throughout some of these songs, and not to mention the aggression. There was so much aggression, but behold, The Work sounds nothing like Where Owls Know My Name. They definitely experimented throughout this album, and this is a good thing, but it's also a negative thing as well. Today I'm going to give you a review of Rivers of Nihil, The Work. So, this album was released on September 24th, and Rivers of Nihil have definitely changed their sound. The production on the other hand is actually really good. Like, guitars are really rich in tone, along with his vocals. His vocals are absolutely fantastic. He incorporates cleaner vocals throughout this album as well, along with his harsh and aggressive vocals. So there's some great guitar work, some great drumming, and of course you get some really great solos as well throughout this. So The Work is what you could say a themed album, all about tackling mental illness, tackling depression, and it seems like the lyrics really relate to the listener. Like, this album is quite doom and gloom, but not doom per se, but it's very gloomy, it's very dark and quite atmospheric in tone. So this LP runs around about an hour and 4 minutes, with the longest song, Terrestrial, for Work, which is around about 11 minutes to even 12 minutes, with some really interesting moments, along with the outro, which is quite genty. Yes, this album incorporates some genty moments, especially through songs like Dreaming Black Clockwork, Maybe One Day, and Terrestrial for The Work. But what's really interesting is that they also incorporate progressive elements along with some electronic elements that creates this really industrial feel. The vocals are really good. Like, Jake's vocals on this are just fantastic, but his backup vocalist, Adam Biggs, his vocals are fantastic as well. I think he also incorporates the cleaner vocals. With songs like The Tower, which is very mystical and atmospheric and quite gloomy throughout the introduction, that leads on to such a really heavy song to kick off the album, then leads on to Dreaming Black Clockwork, which has some great guitar work, great drumming, and the fills on this are absolutely fantastic. Throughout the conclusion of Dreaming Black Clockwork, there is just an amount of noise. The amount of noise at the conclusion is just absolutely fucking insane. And then it leads on to one of the weakest songs off the album, which is Wait. Wait is a good song overall, quite proggy as well, with some acoustic elements that lead on to something nowhere, to be honest. It's like a build up towards the next song, which is Focus. And overall, this is a really anthemic sort of song, Focus, which I really do enjoy. My body, my pride, what's radiant inside. So damn good. I love that chorus. Really funky bass on this song, but Focus at times reminds me of something out of like Korn. And then it leads perfectly onto the next single, which is Clean. And Clean's great. I really love the atmospheric black gazy moments throughout the middle part of Clean. Just escalates the album into the next level, in my opinion. Goes on to The Void, from which Now Is Sound Escape, which is another stellar song in my opinion. Just really hard, just really energetic, but there is a slow build up to the climax, and some really great guitar, and the vocals at times are really powerful. More is okay. More is quite a heavy technical death metal song. Leads on to Tower, creates the same old melodies throughout the Tower, which is okay in my opinion. But this is when the sort of experimental factor starts to get a little bit old, where I just feel that the album sort of drags a little, with a really slow crescendo song called Episode. You could say it's sort of a ballad. Maybe One Day is a pretty powerful song as well. And this is when it leads on to the last song, Terrestrial for Work, which is a great outro overall, running about 11 minutes this song, with some really powerful guitar moments, along with the intense drumming. You get some really great vocal work, and there's an awesome genty conclusion throughout the end of Terrestrial 4 work. Overall, this is not the best Rivers of Nihil album. Where Owls Know My Name, in my opinion, is probably the best Rivers of Nihil album, but I do really appreciate the experimental work by Rivers of Nihil. If you're a really big fan of Rivers of Nihil and you expect Where Owls Know My Name Part 2, you're gonna be incredibly fucking disappointed. Because of course there are shades of Rivers of Nihil throughout this album, their older sound, brand new sound by this band. This is a very atmospheric, at times an element of shoegazy guitar moments, and the soundscape is just full. There's just so much sound. At times there's just a lot of noisy moments which really work. There are some parts of songs which could be cut, but they really work with the overall context of this album. If you're an older fan of Rivers of Nihil and you accept this change of sound, this change of style, where you get cleaner vocals throughout some of these songs, got some really emotional, intense vocals as well, you might enjoy this. But if you want to embrace the brand new Rivers of Nihil sound, you're gonna really enjoy this. And yeah, this is a pretty fun album overall, but I just feel at times this album can be a little bit tedious and, dare I say, a little bit boring. Think of a song like Tower 2. Tower 2 has such an emotional connection with the tower, but does it really have to be there? You could say it's sort of an interlude. But yeah, there are some cool solos on this LP, which I really do enjoy. And there are just some emotional factors, like the lyrics are pretty strong, really connects to anyone that has experienced the pandemic overall throughout the last 2 years, that have experienced quarantine. I myself have experienced quarantine at this time. I'm in quarantine at the moment with a shaved head looking like a Nazi. But anyway, overall, the Rivers of Nihil, the work, very good album, but it's a very different album. And so with a brand new scoring system on this channel, I'm going to give Rivers of Nihil a 65% rating. Overall, this is a pretty good album, but it's not a great album by Rivers of Nihil. Their sound has changed throughout this. At times, this album can be quite meandering, especially with the slow building songs, but my favorite songs off the album will probably Focus, Clean, Terrestrial 4 work, along with Dreaming Black Clockwork, which has such an emotional tie. So it's the 65% for Rivers of Nihil's brand new album, The Work, which is around about a C. So an album percentage of 65% is still a very good album, but yeah, I still really enjoy Rivers of Nihil, and I think they're a fantastic band, so who knows, maybe this album will grow on me, but at the moment, it's a 65% for Rivers of Nihil, The Work. Well, let me know in the comments below your favorite Rivers of Nihil album. Do you agree or disagree with my opinion? Let me know your favorite bit. Probably The Void from Which No Sound Escape is a fantastic song. I'd say Focus is probably my favorite song off the album, just because it's the most memorable song off the album. But there are some cool moments throughout Clean and even Terrestrial for The Work, which are really cool elements, really cool heavy elements. Let me know what you thought about this album, and I will see you in the next one.